Dave has woken up and he's determined. Today is the day. All of his goals, all of his dreams, the things that he wants to accomplish in his life. Today is day one of his journey. His alarm clock goes off. He wakes up early for the first time in years, and he's determined. He's motivated. He knows what he wants, and he knows how he's going to get it. While he's waking up, he instinctually grabs his phone and says to himself, let's open up Instagram while I wake up. Or during breakfast, he watches just one YouTube video, while he's eating to pass the time. Or because it's so early, he has time for just a quick little game of League just before he starts his day. Get that one thing out of the way, and then he'll be awake enough and ready to start his journey. I think we all know what happens next. That little bit of Instagram turns into hours of scrolling in bed. That one YouTube video turns into 3 hours of watching video after video on random topics with no connection. That one game of League before he starts his day turns into a ranked grind. He spends hours playing 10 matches, not really enjoying himself, losing more than he wins, but he's so caught up in the moment he doesn't realize how much time he's spending. Dave looks at the clock. It's 9 p.m. He woke up at 7:30. All of his plans have gone down the drain. He has done nothing to move himself closer to the life he wants to live. In a wave of guilt and shame, he loads up YouTube and stays up late watching more self-improvement videos, more things to motivate him to do tomorrow what he wanted to do today. He goes to bed determined and motivated to begin his self-improvement journey tomorrow. But we all know tomorrow is no different than today. We've all had a day or two or several hundred like Dave in our life. Chances are that's happening to you right now. You've been stuck for a long time, wanting to do so much, knowing you can achieve so much, and yet being unable to pull yourself out of the bad habits, unable to pull yourself away from the instant gratification activities that take up so much of your time. The worst thing is, you're not even aware that you're spending so much time on them. Before you know it, you're opening YouTube, you're playing a video game, you're browsing Netflix, you're on Instagram, you're ordering takeout, and by the time you are aware, it's always too late. It's always after the activity. It's always after you've done the bad thing. Never during, and definitely never before. Now, this isn't really your fault. Everyone knows that developers have spent thousands and thousands of hours and billions of dollars to make their apps as addictive as possible. As soon as you go on the apps, you are hooked, and they have spent hours and hours making it as efficient as possible to keep your attention for as long as possible. You're fighting an incredibly difficult battle, and modern society has set you up to fail. If you think this doesn't apply to you, then I've got a pretty simple test to see whether or not it actually does. How did you get on to watching this video? Did you sit down and tell yourself, right, this is a topic that I really want to improve, and go to the search bar and type in, the keywords to find this video, scroll down and pick the one that seemed the most relevant? You didn't, did you? I know you didn't. Or did you let YouTube's autoplay feature decide for you, where you're just scrolling through the homepage and you just happen to click on this video without really thinking about it? Did you see this video in the recommended video sidebar during your 2-hour self-improvement video binge and just click it like you've been clicking everything else, brain dead with no awareness at all? Let's be real, I'm pretty sure we know the answer to that. And I hope you can be a bit humble, leave ego at the door, and tell yourself that yes, this is a problem that you too are facing. Lack of awareness is a pandemic hitting everyone across the globe. We need to combat that to move our life in the direction that we want. Otherwise, we'll be stuck like this forever. Seneca, a famous Stoic philosopher, said it best thousands of years ago. A consciousness of wrongdoing is the first step to salvation. You have to catch yourself doing it before you can correct it. This is something that I struggled with for so many years. When I was younger, I used to turn on the TV, go on YouTube, boot up a game with literally zero awareness. I had no thought, I had no awareness of what I was doing. Zero mindfulness, I just did the things that I was doing every single day because it was subconscious, it was automatic. And as we said before, as soon as I started the activity, it had its hooks in me. I couldn't escape. I was completely unaware of what I was doing. And the crazy thing is that I didn't lack awareness as to what the problems in my life were. I knew these bad habits were a problem. Every single night I went to bed feeling guilty about how much of the day I had wasted and how many things that I wanted to do that day were left undone. I knew what I had to cut out of my life to improve it. But during the moment, I didn't have the awareness to stop myself before doing it, or to bring myself out of the action before I got too deep in it. Even when I started my self-improvement journey, I did what a lot of people do, and I focused too much on adding things when I should have really been focused on taking away things. We all get so excited to add all of these new habits into our life. We see meditation, we see exercise, we see journaling, we see eating healthily, we see making a business, all of these things as things that we really desperately need to add. But if we're spending all of our time with bad habits, we can't fit them in anywhere. We first have to pull the weed out by the root. It's also just more beneficial to cut out bad habits because they tend to have a bigger effect than adding good habits. An hour of constant high energy running on the treadmill will burn about 600 calories, which is quite a lot. But one large pizza, you're adding about 2,500 to 3,000 calories. Meditation won't really help you if you're spending the rest of your day outside of the practice, mindlessly scrolling on Instagram, with your brain turned off when you're watching YouTube, playing a game with zero awareness as to what you're doing. So to start, what I did, and what I suggest you do, is cut out these bad habits or severely limit them and learn to embrace boredom and learn to embrace doing nothing. I'm not going to go into the topic too much because I have done a video on it. It's going to appear on your screen right here. Click it. I highly suggest you watch it. It's going to be very beneficial for you. But to summarize, when doing an activity that I needed to focus on, my mind would often wander 2-3 minutes into it almost instantly. This was because my brain was so wired to seek distraction that I couldn't focus. I couldn't spend any time on a difficult task without reaching for my phone, without loading up YouTube. I had to learn to embrace boredom, embrace moments of silence, moments of doing nothing, reset the wiring in my brain before I could learn to tackle these tasks and before I gained the awareness of when I was slipping into a bad habit. One thing I actually did that skyrocketed my awareness is kind of cheating a little bit. I don't want to call it a life hack because that term is completely dead. Whenever I had to focus, or whenever I wanted to focus on a good habit or build a good habit, something where I knew I would often let my mind wander, lack awareness, and just start doing bad habits instead, picking up my phone 2-3 minutes into it, like I said, I would set a timer. I would set a 1-hour timer, a 30-minute timer, however long it needed to be, and tell myself that until that timer finishes, I am doing nothing, and I literally mean nothing, but focus on that task. No phone, no drink, no toilet, obviously go if you need to beforehand, nothing, no getting up from my chair until that task was done. This tricked my brain into focusing on the awareness needed to keep going on this task. Whenever my brain would start to wander, which happened a lot with these kind of tasks, the timer would kind of enforce awareness. It would make me realize that I hadn't finished my task and that it wasn't time to indulge or slack off or have my mind wander and go and do something else. Before I learned to do this myself, I would use a timer to make it so that I didn't have the chance to lose awareness. I didn't have the chance to let my mind wander. The timer guaranteed that I would be aware in moments when my mind wandered and that I wouldn't let it happen. To kind of go along with this, if you aren't in a situation where you either have a timer or that you need to implement the timer, you can do what I call the countdown method. It's very simple. Anytime you're going to indulge or do a new action, it could even be a good habit, but anytime your action changes to something else, count down from 5. And in that time, ask yourself if it's something that you really want to be doing. This brief pause forces awareness, and you can catch yourself in the moment, giving yourself sort of a buffer between the craving, the desire, the feeling, the emotional need to do something, and the actual act of you doing it. This small space in between is so powerful for making you aware when you're about to slip into a bad habit. Now, of course, you may still end up deciding that, yes, you have done enough today and you can allow yourself to indulge and relax. We are human after all. But you do have to be honest with yourself and you do have to be humble and tell yourself at times, probably more often than not, you haven't done enough. You're just seeking comfort. You want to indulge because the activity that you're doing is too difficult. And if you can catch yourself saying that, if you can get the awareness that you are trying to make an excuse to not do the activity, you can stop yourself before you start. Now, of course, there's no video on awareness which is complete without mentioning meditation. Meditation is all about increasing your ability to be mindful, and mindful is kind of another word for being aware during the day, to focus on what you're doing in the present and have your mind kind of pinpoint and detect when you're having these thoughts that are making you want to do something that you don't want to do. You can disassociate yourself from these feelings, from these thoughts, from these cravings, and have the awareness to stop yourself before you indulge. The thing that a lot of people get wrong is that they will do the meditation practice and then spend the rest of their day being completely mindless, being completely brain dead, lacking any awareness at all. You need to also take time during the day and force yourself to practice being aware outside of the meditation session that you might do in the morning or in the night or whenever it is that you're doing it. To increase the likelihood that you're going to be aware that you need to be aware, bit of a catch-22 I know, is to pick certain moments in your day that you know you're always going to do. You're always going to eat, you're always going to brush your teeth, you're hopefully always going to take a shower. Anytime that you do that, take that as an opportunity to practice being mindful. Feel the brush on your teeth, taste the toothpaste. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, it does help. When you eat, really look at the food you're eating, taste it, feel the texture. It actually makes it taste better, assuming you're eating something tasty. When you're taking a shower, feel the temperature, feel the water on your skin. Take these little moments in the day as ways to practice and reinforce your awareness and your mindfulness, and you can carry this with you throughout the rest of the day, rather than limiting your moment of increased awareness to just the session which you might be doing in the morning. By implementing these things in my life and increasing the awareness that I have when I'm indulging or before I indulge in a bad habit, I've caught myself so many more times and brought myself out of these habits and these actions before they become a big problem. I've replaced them with things that I want to do to improve my life, like making this video. 6 months ago, making a video like this would have been impossible. I would guarantee be watching a video instead. I'd be consuming rather than creating, and I wouldn't even be aware that I was doing it. Just like in medicine, prevention is better than cure. You need to learn to stop yourself and be aware before you go and indulge in these activities. It's so much easier to prevent than it is to stop midway through. By stopping these activities as well, I also began to identify more as the kind of person I wanted to be like, rather than the person who I didn't want to be like. If you identify as a gamer, for example, your decisions, your actions, your habits are going to be more in line with what a gamer would do, and you won't even be thinking about it. It will be subconscious, it will be instinctual. If you want to change this sort of identification, this personality, if you want to identify as something else, then having increased awareness will allow you to take control from your subconscious, to actually, do the things that will make you seem more like a video editor, someone who goes to the gym, an athlete, a writer, someone who eats healthy. You can actually make these decisions and trend your life towards this new personality, and the first step is to be aware of when you're not doing those things. The first step is to be aware when you're about to do something that goes against this, so that you can stop yourself before you begin. Just imagine no more 5 hours on video games when you had a project to do. No more 3 minutes of work and then 3 hours of YouTube. No more binging Netflix on a day where you've got dreams to achieve, when you've got goals to reach. You don't let these things get their hooks into you, and you'll accomplish so much more with your day. It all starts from being aware. It all starts with awareness. Humans are creatures of habit. We are designed to do things as much as possible without thinking about them, to save our brain power for the more important things. We don't like thinking if we don't have to. We drive to places or walk to places without really being aware of the journey. We kind of get there and realize, oh, I have no recollection of the 20, 30, 40 minutes that have just happened. It's actually kind of scary when you think about it. We go to the kitchen, open the fridge and pull out a snack that we really shouldn't be eating, and eat it because we're hungry, all without being aware that we're doing it. We look at the empty pizza box and think, why? Why did I do that? Why did I just cheat on my diet? We indulge in satisfying our present selves without being aware of the harm it's doing to our future selves. You can be as disciplined as you want in eating healthily and looking after your body, but if you're not aware of every time you go and eat junk food, that discipline won't kick in. Awareness is the foundation that leads to discipline, that leads to greatness, that leads to you achieving everything you want in your life. As a quick tip, there are probably going to be moments in the day when you're more likely to indulge, when you're more likely to lack awareness and do things that you don't want to do, or start doing things and then end up getting stuck in them for hours when you only intended to do it for a little bit of time. I would recommend journaling, and if this is a problem for you, write down at the end of the day the moments that you can recall where this happens more likely. Either there are moments in the day or there are certain situations where this happens. Maybe after dinner you're really prone to loading up YouTube and then the evening is gone. Maybe whenever you sit down on the sofa you end up procrastinating, and because it's so comfy you end up watching TV for hours and hours. When you go back through your day and review it, you can put more focus and more effort in these moments because you know they are danger moments. They're moments where you're more likely to slip into bad habits. And then you can come up with tactics or use the tactics I've described to stop that from happening. Now, if you really struggle with this kind of thing, if you're constantly losing attention, if you're constantly being unmindful, lacking awareness, and just spending your day doing things on a whim, then one thing you can do is to implement a structured timetable and stick to it as much as you can. By doing this, you're going to know exactly what you're going to do throughout the day and when you're going to be doing it. And so you don't leave your decisions and your actions and your entire day, up to chance. You instead focus and you know exactly what you're going to do. You won't end up getting stuck in a bad habit. Like with the timer, you're almost forced to be aware because you don't even give yourself a chance to indulge in a bad habit because you know what you're going to be doing. If this is something that you struggle with and it sounds like it would help, I recommend implementing that as well. Awareness is an amazing skill to level up in. It can transform your life. The technology and the comforts of the modern day are all designed to keep you addicted and to keep you doing them once you start. Self-improvement begins by cutting out these bad habits. And the best way to do that is to stop them before you can begin. By leveling up your skill and awareness, by using the tactics in this video, you can stop the downwards trajectory of your life. By increasing your awareness and learning to be aware when you're slipping into bad habits, you can prevent that, you can stop that, and you can build the life that you desire. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this video has resonated with you at all, and you feel like you'd benefit from hearing more from someone who's probably been in quite a similar situation to you and who's had success on their self-improvement journey, then subscribe to the channel and hit the post notification bell. I really think it will benefit you. And it helps me too. So, there's that. Keep an eye out on the channel. There's a lot of good things coming, and I really think you're going to like them. Until then though, my name's Dan, and remember, always keep on smiling.